It's modern, you know. I mean, savory is something that you would say like your grandmother's house one day. Oh, this is really savory, Grandma. But you know, tasty is just, it's like going to what's that place over on not Checkers, but the place on by Walmart where they serve the burgers and Steak and Shake. Tasty food, okay? I just, you know, it's just, I like the word tasty. So don't mean to make anything of it. It's just my preference. What? Oh, yeah, it makes me hungry. Savory just makes me think I'm going to be filled up with something that tastes pretty good. But tasty is like, ooh, yeah, like I got some mangoes on my tree now, and they are tasty. What? Oh, you got them? Come on over. All right, yeah, Sunday, show up for church, and maybe you'll get a mango. Okay, 15, go ahead.
Are you preaching Sunday?
I'm preaching Sunday at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be hanging out at your house.
Woohoo! You got it, baby. All right, verse 15.
Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her oldest son, and which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob.
Why did she do that?
So that he'd smell like
He'd smell like her. Because they didn't wash clothes back then. You smelled like your clothes, and your clothes smelled like you. Go ahead.
Or smell like patchouli.
Yeah, patchouli.
She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made.
Okay, you know what? I didn't know this, but Seth spoke on this particular passage at the time of Mother's Day. And he said that there is a particular goat in the Mideast that actually has hair like human hair. And so we wouldn't think that if she did this, you would be able, you know, it'd be so obvious that it's like, how could he be such a knucklehead? But apparently there's, and I didn't get the name of the goat. I might have written it down somewhere in my Bible, but I'm not going to go digging through this, and it may have been a different Bible I took to church that day. But it was really good insight, and I don't know where he got that from, maybe a study online or something, but there is a particular goat that is deceivingly like human hair. And Mom would have known this particular goat, and you know, they would have used the hair for different things, and in this case, she used it for
deception.
Deception. There you go. Thank you. All right, go ahead, please.
Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau."
Liar!
Liar.
"Your firstborn.
Deception and lies.
I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my gains, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success."
Liar! Yeah, man.
I'd be dodging lightning bolts.
I tell you, you know what? Once again, as I said back in the last account in 26, despite our faithlessness, God is ever faithful. He has made a promise. And this is, hang on one sec, this is the same thing as a believer today. We are talking about eternal salvation. God has said, "I will save you if you call on the name of my Son," despite what we do. And some people cannot get it out of their head. They say, "Yes, I believe in eternal salvation," but as soon as somebody falters, they say that person can't be saved. They may not have ever been saved, but if they were saved, they have not lost their salvation. And I will never sit in a class in anywhere I go in the world and proclaim anything but eternal salvation. If you have truly called on Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, you will never lose your salvation. And that should be comfort to some of you in here, that I know family members that have called on the Lord when they were young and they have departed or whatever. If they have called on the Lord, you are eternally saved. And that goes right back to the Old Testament. God is faithful when we are faithless. Go ahead, you had a question.
Well, I don't think the Lord really let us get away with this.
Oh, he didn't. We suffer. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
I made a note to my Jacob said to his father, yes, he went to his father, and "Father, yes, my son, who is it?" Jacob said, he said to his father, over in Genesis...
I'm Esau, he said to his father.
Esau.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Esau. He said it's Esau. And over in Genesis 32, Jacob is wrestling with God.
Right.
And during the wrestling, he says, but Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And the man asked him, the man who was the angel
right.
of God, "What is your name?" So this is to me to shore up, you didn't get away with this lie.
You know, I'd never thought of that before. Very good insight. And that's why we're in Bible study, so I can learn things too.
This is it.
Yeah, but that's right. He says, what is your name? He's directly asking him when he's fighting with the angel of the Lord, what is your name? When he denied that he was Jacob before, he said, I'm Esau. He's making him pronounce his name, and then he says, you will no longer be called this, which is a heel grabber or a supplanter. Heel grabber is a person that deceives, and so it implies a deceiver, okay? And he says, your name will no longer be this, but it will be Israel, Prince of God, okay? So, or actually, Israel, some people will say it means a prince of God, and others, he struggles with God. And that would be a double entendre. It could be that he is either struggling with God in his actions of destroying the wickedness of the world, or he is struggling with God, fighting against God. And we see both of them all the way through the Bible, Old Testament and New. Israel is struggling with God in one aspect, and he's struggling against God or struggling with God, but in the sense of against in the same aspect. And so the name Israel applies beautifully to them, and it also applies beautifully to all of us, because we are struggling with God for the furtherance of the gospel, and at the same time we're struggling with God in our own mortal fleshly selves, fighting against him continuously. And so it's Israel. The name is a double entendre which is being applied there. And so we can't make a judgment either way that it's, some people will, oh, well, we're Israel and we struggle with God. Listen, you've been struggling against him, as it says in Ezekiel 36, I read you a while ago, for 2,000 years. You have blasphemed the name of the Lord all over the world, and for his name's sake, he has allowed you to do this and to continue, because he's promised that he would. Anyway, that's very good. I'd never thought of that, and I got a little squiggle on my brain today. Thank you. Yes?
Gene mentioned something here that I didn't take note of. It says, because the Lord your God brought it to me.
Right. Because he is saying, but the deal with that is, well, he is, but he's saying that he is the father figure in here. And you'll see this elsewhere, where people will say, the Lord your God. And it's implying, it doesn't negate that they believe that as well. I know what you're saying. It doesn't negate that. It is saying that he is the person that I know you have called on. Okay? And in some cases, it very well may be what you guys are saying, is that he is not yet a regenerate fellow, even though the...
Wasn't it later when he said, if you take care of me, or if you do what you bless me?
I'll give you 10%. Yeah, it's at the tower when he's sleeping on the way up to Padam Aram. He puts his head on the stone and he anoints the stone. And he says, if you prosper me and bring me back to this place, I'll give you 10% of everything I have. There he called on the name of the Lord. You will be my God. So very good. And that very well could be what you're saying could be true, is that he's saying, this is your God. And maybe I haven't made my mind up about him yet. And that's what children do all the time. They have to come to Jesus individually. So that very well could be, I don't want to say that's dogmatically, but that very well could be what you're saying, is that he's saying, this is your God, I'm reserving judgment until a later point in life. Good observation. Okay, please, go ahead.
Then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you are really my son Esau or not. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
Oh, Dad, I've got a frog in my throat today.
He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. Are you really my son Esau? He asked. I am, he replied.
Liar.
Liar. Yeah.
Then he said, my son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing.
You'll get my blessing after I eat, buddy.
Jacob brought to him, and he ate. And he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, come here, my son, and kiss me. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed.
Okay, now you know what? He's wearing his brother's clothes. He smells like his brother's. But the blessing was really intended, not only for the son who's the firstborn, but for the smell of his son. You see, it specifically mentions this smell. And you know, that's one thing about smells that is really, really wonderful, is that you can smell something and bring back a memory that you haven't had for 50 years. I don't know if you ever have that, but I'll be walking along, I'll smell something I haven't, a certain food or a certain thing, and it'll take you back to the point when you were right there It could be 50 years ago. I'm not 50 years old yet, so I'm still guessing on that. But you know, I'll smell lamb cooked just the way my grandmother cooked it, and Grandma comes to mind. She was famous for cooking lamb. We'd go over, and I don't know if the rest of the family liked it, because every time you went there, you know you're going to get lamb, but boy, I love lamb because of that. That's when I gave up meat for 5 years because of something I saw on the Discovery Channel, how they process food, and I was like, I'm never eating meat again. And we went to Israel, and they served lamb in Israel, and I thought, I was done. That's, like I say, that's all I eat now is I just eat meat and candy. So I gave up on everything else.
It smells like death.
But yeah, the smell. Oh, this is my son. Okay, go ahead. Verse 28.
May God give you of heaven's dew and of the earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed.
Be blessed. So the blessing has now gone on to him, and which, you know, deceiver or not, the blessing was intended before they were born to be for him, and the blessing has been pronounced, and it will go through the son Israel, or Jacob. That's all there is to it. The blessing is pronounced. Now, real quickly, if you go to Deuteronomy 33, you don't have to turn there. I'm going to read it. This is when the father, what's his name? It would have been Jacob when he's an old man. Isaac is dead. This is now Israel when he's an old man, and he's blessing his 12 sons. And he uses the same type of terminology that he used here, that Isaac used for him, he uses for his son Joseph. He says, "Blessed of the Lord is his land with the precious things of heaven and with the dew and the deep lying beneath." So he's saying the dew of the heavens and lying down. Okay, now, just so you know, in this blessing by Israel, and I may have mentioned this before, and if I have, I apologize, but in this blessing of Israel to his 12 sons, Zion Oil and Gas, which is a company that is active in Israel today. It's an American guy that went over there. He was reading the Bible. He read the blessings of Moses upon the people of Israel, and he read the blessings of Israel upon his 12 sons. Those two blessings. The one of Moses is at the end of Deuteronomy. And, I'm sorry, this is Deuteronomy. The one of Israel blessing his son is at the end of Genesis. Okay, so this is Moses blessing the tribes of Israel. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. But he read these two blessings, and he says, there is going to be oil in the land. There is going to be oil in the land. And he made this conclusion by reading these passages. And here it says, and the deep lying beneath. And then he goes on, with the precious fruits of the sun, with the precious produce of the months, with the best things of the ancient mountains, the Har Olam, I believe, with these precious things of the everlasting hills, Givat Olam, with the precious things of the earth in its fullness. And it goes on and it talks about the different things that each of these sons is going to be blessed with. Asher, 24, it says, and of Asher, he said, Asher is most blessed of sons. Let him be favored by his brothers, and let him dip his foot in oil. And he said there is going to be oil in the land where Asher's tribe was in Israel. And goes on, your sandals shall be iron and bronze, and there'll be iron and bronze in those particular hills. And this is a prophecy that Israel is, or Moses is giving to the people of Israel when they go in. This guy read these particular two blessings, and he has been over there drilling in these particular areas and finding oil and natural gas. He hasn't hit the mother lode yet, but I imagine he will find the mother lode on the day after the peace treaty is signed. But anyway, I got to tell you, they did find the mother lode of natural gas, though. I told you that, I think, in here, is that they found the Leviathan natural gas well, which is massive, trillions of cubic feet of natural gas. And that's what the world wants now, because it's clean oil and green, and we're killing the universe and all that. But the fact is that these things are coming to fulfillment in our life based on these prophecies that were made by Israel at the end of Genesis and by Moses at the end of Deuteronomy. But the same terminology is used, the dew of heaven. I didn't mean to divert so much, but I just like those parallels that you'll see. You got to go. Okay, say hi to whoever he is. Love you. Have a nice day. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, Mom, take a whoopee pile. Just take one. Gee whiz, she brought him in here for you. Oh yeah, look, and now she's going to be fat. Holy mackerel. Okay, I don't remember where we stopped. I think it was 30. Is that right? Okay, 30, here we are. Genesis 27:30.